Thank you so much for lunch. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, guys, online, you get to fend for yourself.
Hit me up.
Most of you know, we have an email list, SBE-48.org. You can go there and sign up for it. I think I may have killed that off now that I think about it, because we had a bunch of random emails that didn't exist, but you could always email me directly. And then, of course, for every meeting you attend in person, starting after the second meeting, we'll enter you in a drawing. That first meeting will count too, but you have to come to at least 2 meetings. In November, when we have our holiday party, you will be entered into a drawing, and the chapter will pay for an SBE Members Plus membership. And then our next meeting will be Wednesday, the 17th of September, same time, probably same location. Just be checking emails the beginning of the month, and I'll be sure to get that info to you. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it on to you, Dan.
Right, thank you very
He's over there off camera.
much. Yeah.
Would you like me to close this door or?
Yeah, please. Otherwise, the people will avoid us.
Until it gets too hot. Then we'll open it.
All right, thanks for having us. Brought in a ringer today, Tyson Crosby from Arvada, Colorado. And he's a solutions engineer for Intelisys, which was acquired by Scansworth, so it's been 2-3 years now.
8. It's been 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, it's been 8
Okay.
years that we've been a part of it. It's
Okay.
been a long time. Yeah, a long time.
I guess it wasn't very much talked about for them. They're a TSD, Technology Solutions Distributor, also known as a master agency, which basically means that telecom agents like myself and other local agencies work through TSDs to access the carriers and basically to sell and support telecom and other IT services. So Tyson is working for a company like that. There's all kinds of different types of solutions that he has to be on top of, whether it be, the straight telecom circuit stuff, this stuff we're going to talk about, SD-WAN, and then voice, hosted voice over IP, contact center, and then cybersecurity, all kinds of, the list goes on and on. So anyway, and I'll let you talk anytime.
Sure.
And then I am a CBME and got my CBP thanks to my excellent father-daughter team of co-proctors. I appreciate it. So anyway, been in telecom my whole life, got into broadcasting a couple of years ago, as many of you know. So I, do both, do some work for Jack Rowland mostly, and one of the sites, and then also do the telecom and IT consultancy sales piece too. Was invited to present on telecom on circuits, or the care and feeding of circuits at the Ennis workshop. Oh, I spelled Ennis wrong. At the NAB next year in Las Vegas. So that is really excited about that. Has anyone been to one of those? No? Okay. So anyway, what else did I want to say?
Well, now you have a reason to.
There it is. Yeah, okay. Got a lot of text on there, but why don't you say it?
Sure.
So,
I don't even know what all that text says right now, but what I am is I'm the Pac Northwest and the Mountain West regional engineer for Intelisys. Like Dan was explaining, the TSD, what we are is I'm the middleman between 300 suppliers. And you've heard of probably 90% of them. You use a bunch of them today, right? So everybody from the Cisco's, HP's, Dell's, all the way to all of the major AI offerings, to all of the cloud offerings, and all of the management and security and all of that stuff in between. So it's a very wide portfolio. My background is really around cloud architecture, I'll say global networking, security, things like that, right? So I've been very heavily involved with, and please don't throw things at me, but the US Census. Right, so 2010 and 2020, the US Census was my babies. I don't know anything about what's going on, but it is what it is, right? So I had an opportunity about a year and a half ago to come over to Intelisys from one of our suppliers. I was a cloud architect with a company called Expedient, so a big VMware company, right? Big VMware footprint across the United States. This opportunity came open and it allowed for me, I would say, to more so than focus on selling one service, one supplier service. I got to look and go, step back and go, you guys all go back here. I'm going to figure out what do you really need versus what you're asking for versus what you should have versus, you know what I mean? And let me figure that out. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to bring in those suppliers that have already been vetted. It helps you avoid the paralysis by analysis. The Google, I mean, try Googling security. Good luck. You're going to pull it out if you have hair. Right? So just don't. You're going to pull it out. It's brutal, right? And what happens? You don't do anything. You don't do anything. No activity, no motion because you don't know what to do. Well, that's what I am, right? I'm here to kind of help Dan and partners like Dan figure out what is it that you guys are actually looking for. I mean, is it a circuit? Is it a highly available solution? Is it a secure, highly available solution? What's at the end of that secure, highly available solution? Are there servers over there? Are you living in the grandma's basement with a stack of servers? You should do that. You know, do you have SLAs tied to any of this data, right? The connections, the access to those services that you or your customers may offer. Right, so that's what my whole goal is, to try to uncover kind of what you guys need. And again, it may be SD-WAN, it may be SASE, the kind of the secure version of SD-WAN. It may be you need Starlink. Maybe you need fixed wireless somewhere. Dan can bring every single piece of that to you. I have all of the AT&Ts, the Verizons, the Lumens, they're all suppliers of mine. And you know what? They all want to do business with you. And trust me, every one of them wants to do business with you, and they don't get an opportunity to do business with you until I say, hey, would you like to do business with these guys? And that's because we've built a relationship with Dan through Dan, and you guys now say, hey, so you go to Dan. Dan's going to come to me and say, Tyson, can we get it? Absolutely. Here's the two suppliers that we should have them on. Right, so that's kind of how my role is I'm more of a facilitator. I just happen to have a heavy technical background, right? Not a sales guy, that's just an experienced guy. So that's it.
And thank you. And now with the rise of AI, it's just a few more things that you have.
I just did a 3-day AI in CX roadshow last week. I was here, I was in Boise, I was in Portland, and then I was in Seattle. And that was all in 3 days. Did presentations at all of those. That's the kind of stuff that we can bring, right? We can talk to you guys about any of that stuff, right? Or anybody you know, any of your maybe end customers, if that's kind of how this works. I'm not sure if you get that, but you being the end customer in my sense, right? Is what you guys need. However I can help you and however Dan, you know, can help you. That's the main goal. So hopefully today is at least a little educational. Won't go too deep, you know. I mean, everybody's got their own world that they live in. Everybody's got their own circuits and their own experiences with this supplier and that supplier. So we won't get too deep into it, but I'll give you a high level overview, at least of some of the software defined networking and some of the security features and hybrid capabilities that are out there.
Great. So anyway, we're going to talk about SD-WAN, software defined WAN, which, you know, is applicable to some of you, not applicable to others, but really it's applicable in the sense to all of you. I think that everything is, you know, going IP. and IT, right? So, whereas a few years ago, you know, SDI and RF were still sort of dominant. You all know how that goes. So, anyway, what is SD-WAN? It's application aware over the top WAN connectivity. A WAN being a wide area network, right? Uses policies to direct application flows and operates over multiple underlay networks. So it's really a game changer. We'll talk a little bit about what has driven its adoption. The thing about it is, you know, the providers all talk it up, and for years now, they, you know, they lead with it, they advertise it, they incent their people, well, they encourage their people to sell. Thing is, most salespeople don't want to talk about it or want to sell it because it's not much of a moneymaker generally for salespeople. Because it's a lot cheaper than getting dedicated circuits. And we'll talk about that. So first of all, if you're a telecom account manager and you have a customer with a bunch of dedicated circuits and you sell them SD-WAN, you might cut their bill in half or even more. And so, you know, if you're paid on total billing and total revenue, then you're cutting your own throat, you're cannibalizing your own revenue. But also even just anyone, it's just not, it's a sort of a complex process from a sales perspective to figure out what someone needs. And then, you know, you're really not going to make that much money, you know, as opposed to selling circuits, which, you know, of course, they're a lot cheaper than they used to be, but still very easy to pump those out. You need a managed router with that. How many IP addresses you need with that? You want fries with that? You know, very simple. Would you agree with my assessment?
Sure, yeah.
So, don't know how many of you know Jamie Till in Indiana, but several years ago, he decided that he was paying too much for at least fiber lines and heard about SD-WAN and went to, you know, some of the vendors and asked them about it. He went to Jacob Daniluk at Thailand and Jacob said, yeah, that's, you know, that's definitely a good way to go. And as Jacob says, really to them, it's just a traditional IP network with a routing table that they can refer to for network routing. So any other, just like for them, it's any other IP, you know, solution that connects to it, but it works really well and it's very redundant. So it's a win-win-win situation, right? It's first of all, it sort of runs itself once it gets set up. And then it's generally saves people money and it has built-in redundancy and built-in reliability. And we'll talk about that. And so, you know, vendors obviously love it when a customer brings to the table something that connects to their systems that always works.
Is there anybody in here that, are you guys familiar with SD-WAN or have an idea of what SD-WAN is or kind of, you have an idea? Yeah, I heard you talking earlier, I think.
So what led to the rise of SD-WAN? Well, traditional WANs were designed for data centers, not for the cloud. Right? So you had basically, I think,
Software and service.
reorganized. You had the applications residing at the data center, which was either at the company headquarters generally, or in a third-party data center, or both. And the applications, to get to those applications, users at the branches would connect via expensive private networks to get to those applications. And if they needed to go out to the internet to prevent the complexity with having firewalls at every location and having to manage those firewalls, often, most of the time, you'd have to go via the corporate network to that data center, then out to the internet and back. So very inefficient use of bandwidth, and also added, latency and stuff. But as companies started moving applications to the cloud, software as a service, but also infrastructure as a service, so cloud computing, they needed better direct to cloud connectivity. So that's basically what drove SD-WAN's adoption. Secure optimized cloud access from any branch without backhauling traffic through the data center. By the way, Tyson has not joined me on we've done a couple together, but it's been a while. This is like I think my 15th presentation since April. They were all virtual prior to this one. It's nice to be here in front of people.
That's why I said you're the best looking group that we've been in front of, right?
I agree.
Any video.
I'll leave it on.
So we don't have the
Turn it
actual
down.
dog and pony show kind of worked out, so feel free to pipe up to chime in. Let's see.
Well, to kind of add on to this,
Yeah, go
right?
ahead.
Software as a service. O365, M365, that's software as a service. That's in the Microsoft cloud. You guys may have some workloads that are sitting over here in Azure. There may, or in AWS, there may be a data center somewhere in the whole mix. Okay. Then there's a merger and acquisition effort. Boom. Now you're going to acquire more company. How are you going to bring all of that together if you stay with the existing traditional? I'm going to configure, even if you can push to multiple switches, multiple routers, multiple firewalls, using secure CRT, something like that, right? Use command line. It is an effort because not every firewall is the same. Not every firewall and not every switch, not every router, they're not all the same. This site needs this, that site needs this. So unless you have a centralized management and orchestration engine, you're touching every single one of those and multiple in each site, right? So it becomes very difficult to manage that. That's what drove this is, hey, I've got a data center. I've always had BGP in my circuits and I've had just your traditional network, right? Maybe a failover manual, of course, never automated because we don't trust it. And there's a data center over here that after 24 hours of propagation or repropagation, it'll finally start accepting West and things like that. It's not a good way. It's not a good way, right? What you need is that orchestration and that control in the cloud away from that device. Pull it all into one single place. Make those semi-dumb terminals. They're not dumb, they're very smart, but semi-dumb terminals, right? You're not having to configure and control at the edge at every one of those locations. You log into your portal and you see a list of them. And maybe you group some of them together because they're very specific around healthcare, finance, manufacturing, retail, whatever it is, however they fall in there, that's their profile, right? If something happens to that device and it fails, okay, boom, new device comes in, it grabs the same configuration and you're back up and running, right? Hopefully that doesn't happen, there's a redundancy, we thought about that, but yeah, it just simplified the ability for you to add these services and again, M&A, especially for the last probably 5 years, has been huge, right? The mergers and acquisitions, buying of companies, absorbing these companies. How do you bring their network and all of theirs? How do you bring that in? It's pretty easy when you have a secure web gateway and you can just take their network and plug it into yours and get immediate visibility into it. It's kind of nice, right? So that's really what drove this was the cloud, and I'll say, and people beginning to trust the cloud and not necessarily having to have that local physical box that they can touch and okay, but I can go sleep at night, right? They don't necessarily need that anymore. They're giving some of that control away. They do want to be able to configure and co-manage it, but they don't necessarily want to own it anymore. And so that's just driving SD-WAN and SASE. I'll tell you that later. That's driving the adoption through the roof. Today, I mean, if you're an enterprise and you don't have SD-WAN, there is something seriously wrong. If you're an M of the SMB, there's probably something wrong. That if you don't have at least redundant links with a little logic wrapped around those links, so you have failover or aggregation or whatever you might need from those links. Smaller businesses, one site, a few employees, that kind of thing. There's still, maybe that's your scenario. In a lot of cases, maybe that's your guys' scenario, but that's where we're at now. The adoption of it has come down to smaller shops, small businesses.
Does the SD gateway manage how you traverse the internet? Because as you know, there's a limited number of routers on the internet. And when you're purchasing circuits, they go through different routers, like one will go through Atlanta, another one will go through another city, when you work with ISPs.
Yep.
So when you go to a gateway like this with your traffic, can you manage how you traverse the internet when you're linking these different?
Yeah, like you can go straight like east side, every branch could have their own internet link out, both straight out, it's independent of SD-WAN, it's just an internet link. And at the same time, they're using that same internet link for one of their two links, right? For their failover or aggregation or whatever it might be. So you really always want to have two, but one of those two can be just internet. So you have a very remote West Virginia location or something, but they've got decent internet. You don't want them backhauling to Denver and then, going back out to the internet and then coming back, we just have them go right out, right there. So yeah, you can absolutely break that off and create an internet link, so. And then all your corporate traffic, there's logic, there's intelligence. In this case, there's a lot of AI that's getting involved in this, right? So when it knows that you're looking for a service that is possibly in AWS, it's gonna know. It's gonna know if it's better or not for you to go out that internet pipe to try to get to AWS. And you may not even be allowed to go that way. We can restrict all of that. You have to go across the secure tunnel. You have to, maybe that's a company policy, that has to be a secure connection. Well, there's an easy way to do that. With these SD-WAN providers, the majority of them are in dozens or more data centers across the United States. And in those same data centers is Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, Oracle. They're all right there, and they're all considered cloud on-ramps. Low latency, super fast pipes. So you, customer, could have something at the data center and have access to the cloud at sub 1 millisecond time. Because it's right there, it's literally right there. You can there's all kinds of different types of connections, direct route or express route, direct connect, Megaport. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones that offer that type of service for, that cloud on ramp, right? So the whole goal is to really, SD-WAN is about getting you guys connected out to across the internet to the cloud, right? And allowing for you guys to, I'll say both links. I'm just kind of pointing at you guys as links, but allow both of you guys to operate independently, to operate as a team, or to operate competitively. First one there wins. First packet comes down that circuit wins. The packets from your sites are headed towards, or from your site is headed towards me and my data centers. My data centers are all interlinked with 400 gig network, right? And not only that, I've got hardware from AWS, Azure, they're in all the same data centers. Everything it's all kind of the same. So once you get to your data center, you can get to this data center really fast, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Oh, super fast, because you're not going across the internet. You're going across their private backbone. Yeah, and so that now they can start offering you guys services. You want to analyze the traffic. You want reports on this. You want to see what this looks like. Blah, 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 blah. Things that you maybe can't do today with your traditional WAN, where you've just got internet coming in. So yeah, that's really what it's about. It's just leveraging the SD-WAN main supplier's backbone for that low latency, super fast, high bandwidth speeds. Very secure, right? Very secure, and keeps you away from the internet when it needs to, right? When it needs to. But the internet gets you to their location. So again, you buy like a Comcast and a Lumen or whatever it is. They're two different, or even essentially not central links, but two different links, right? Both of those links give you internet. Both of those links can get you to an IP. Both of those links can help create a tunnel from you to the data center. When you touch that data center, you're now on all of their data centers. And if you've got a site that's way over there, it's going to find the lowest latency path. It's going to get there and out right to you, right? And vice versa. So it's smart enough to know that like, whatever client you may be running, it's gonna know where the closest data center is, because it's constantly getting updates from the cloud. It knows, it's getting circuit updates, it's telling you if there's a jitter, attenuation, stuff like that on the link, it goes, you don't go there, we go here. Even if you tell it to go there, it goes, no, you don't wanna be there. Now you can force it, but you're going against why you bought it, right, something, so, yeah, it's pretty powerful, very, very powerful, and just provides that, I'll say availability to services where a single link or even dual links with manual failover just don't give you the same thing.
Is that 400 gig number that you threw out there, is that your up down?
So this would be like data center to data center to data center to data center. This is extended layer 2.
Yeah.
So like NSX, there is no necessarily up down, it's the full pipe.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but you'll get a piece of it. You're not necessarily going to
Right.
need 400 gig, right?
Right.
But you're gonna have the benefits of that size of a pipe to get your traffic down.
They're fiber DWDM, sir.
I'm sorry.
They're fiber DWDM, sir.
Yep.
And the nice thing about SD-WAN, and we'll probably, I don't want to jump ahead,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's actually what the second bullet really kind of is.
Yeah. Well, and just one thing I wanted to add. So what you guys are responsible for, which is getting content out to the public via either over the air or streaming. As more and more is done in the cloud. Whether it be the audio processing, whether it be EAS is going to be in the cloud soon, right? We'll probably agree on that. And then, so for iHeart is last count, I think it was 200 and some odd stations that they have that are just cloud, completely cloud-based, right? So as more and more goes into the cloud, what SD-WAN enables you to do is simply, inexpensively, securely, reliably get stuff back and forth to the cloud. Get it to the cloud, then get it to the transmitter side, or get it to the streaming providers. So why else did SD-WAN become something? MPLS has been the typical corporate private network, very expensive routers, not scalable, not easily scalable, takes months to install, like mostly. Internet, as we all know, compared to even just a few years ago, much cheaper, more bandwidth. It works better than it used to, right? And it's more reliable. There's more types of internet. So it's just logical that we should be able to leverage internet connections to do the kinds of things that we needed other types of connections to do previously. Now we have satellite and 5G that a few years ago were not options, right?
Hello.
Okay. I'll let you address this slide, Tyson.
There wasn't one diagram that goes along with
Oh, yeah.
all of these here. I mean,
Let's just do that.
Yeah, there's a few different ways. And I kind of mentioned it. Essentially, what I was going to talk about is the different ways that you can handle those circuits. So you can have two circuits coming in, and you have active, passive. It fails over. It's just a link that's sitting over there, but it'll handle a failover, right? And SD-WAN is constantly looking down both links. It's constantly looking to see the health, right?
There you go. That's fine.
Perfect. Yeah. So load balancing, like in this case, you've got a couple of packets that are coming. In this case, packet 1 goes down this link, packet 2 goes down this link. And that is all customizable. It's all definable. You can tell it, hey, this is how I want my network to run, right? I want my network to split the traffic. Okay, no problem. Go to the next one. Because this one really isn't that, that one is link aggregation as well, but that's just what that really was two links together. You can tell certain packets to go down each one, but it's really treated as an aggregate, right? It's treated as if you had two 1 gig links, you have 2 gig sort of thing. So that's kind of what that means. This one right here is the preferred path and the path selection. So you can actually define which way you want it to go, or you can have SD-WAN automatically define which way it goes based off of, again, the jitter, attenuation, lag in response times, things like that, right? Extra hops get introduced, don't go that way, go this way. right? Even though that way is the way we've always been going, we're gonna go this way instead. So you can choose which way you want it to go, or you can have SD-WAN choose for you. It's completely up to you, but that's kind of what this is a choice. That's how you want to go.
And if the first link is, let's say, Comcast cables, and the second link is Starlink or 5G, 4G, where you're actually paying for the amount of data throughput, then you obviously don't want to send everything down that second link all the time. So you configure it to, and it's very easy to do. You configure it to only use that link when it's necessary.
Always have this one unless something goes wrong with this one, then go down to this one. Because you're maybe paying for, like I said, the data.
Yeah, and not only if link one is down, does it go on the second one, but if there's an issue, it looks upstream, if there's some type of congestion causing latency due to packet loss, then it can go out through the satellite or 5G.
And then hopefully this is my favorite one. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier, right? You got two links. They're not aggregate, but they are competitive. So you send that packet, and this is both packet one, and it goes this one and this one, ready to go. That first one there wins, the other one drops. So you're still utilizing. Now, of course, you wouldn't want to do that if you have the scenario that Dan was just talking about, where you're paying for the part of this as being like 5G or LTE fixed wireless, that kind of thing, where it's costing you to actually put that through, where maybe it's not just that standard one-time cost, monthly cost for this link, right? So yeah, this one's very popular if you've got, for example, 2 fiber links or stock market. This is how their entire network is set up. Every single bit, byte, everything, nibble, all of that gets sent by the stock market is sent twice. It's sent out redundantly at minimum, right? So it is going to get there, and the first one that gets there wins, because it's all about speed. It's all about transaction time. It's all about can't wait. So that's how they set up a stock market network.
All right, let's go back up just a little bit here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
What we missed, no problem. Anyway, so security. So SD-WAN has been around for quite a while now, and it was, sort of the sexy buzzword, but now it's SASE. SASE is now the sexy thing, right? And SASE is basically SD-WAN with security bolted onto it or integrated into it. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. Obviously, anything you do on the internet has to have security. So this is sort of duplicating what we talked about. Go ahead, Tyson.
Yeah, so what this is just I would say a poor picture on my part. I have a better picture now, but at the time that's the best way. This is just kind of a general overview of what an SD-WAN network would look like. So you've got like the orchestrator and the controller, and the orchestrator and the controller in this case is going to be out here. Okay, so what this is probably one of their data centers that I was talking about. It's located in one of the data centers, or it is part of a cluster that goes across multiple data centers that gets one of the data centers as close as it possibly can to you, right? So that you have quick connection into it. And that's where all of your policies are created. That's where your profiles are created, all your advanced routing, anything that you need that's special around your network routing. That's where all of this happens. All of that happens, and some of it can be automated, right? And some of it can be AI driven. There's a lot of different capabilities with the SD-WAN features that have recently come out. So, and then you've got the SD-WAN edge. It can be physical or it might be virtual. It depends. That's what sits at your site, right? Or each of your sites. So if you're responsible for 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 sites, each one of those is going to have some sort of an edge WAN device. And edge SD-WAN device, it's going to provide for the local routing, right? So if something were to happen, get cut off from that, it doesn't matter. Your local routing still, it's been defined. It doesn't need to go ask permission again. It's been defined. So everything is still up. Now, you won't be able to make changes. You won't be able to do some things until these links come back up and you're actually back online. But all of your internal and everything routing, all of that's going to be fine because some of these can be used for east-west traffic as well, not just north-south, not just going out. Some of these can be used to control this way as well, this department and to this department, micro segmentation, all these different things. It gets a little heavy. That's not what today is for, but yeah, that's kind of what those edge devices are for, is to sit at the site to still provide that routing. Right, so that it still has access. And if there maybe is an extra internet link and that internet link is still up, people still get to go out on the internet. They just may not be, that internet link may not be part of the SD-WAN solution of those redundant links. Maybe might be 3 links that are coming into a site. So there's all kinds of options, all kinds of variables that'll drive this, but, and the gateway. You'll hear it referred to as a SWG, but it's a secure web gateway. That's what allows a customer to implement SD-WAN when they already have something like your traditional network and MPLS, whatever it is, without having to rip and replace right then. So SD-WAN can come in, sit right next to your MPLS network. And what you do is you take your MPLS network and your SD-WAN network and you put the secure web gateway right in the middle and you have both of them connect to it. And at that point, you're now getting metrics from a non-SD-WAN network. This is, again, merger and acquisition. There's a company we bought, whatever is getting all of this data and telemetry that gets reported into the SD-WAN network portal. Even though it's not part of it, it's still part of it because it's part of the secure web gateway, right? It has visibility that maybe you don't even have today. You now have because you have this SD-WAN portal that allows for you to see all the way down there. And I don't application flow, I'm not sure why I have that in there, but the internet breakout, that's what we were talking about earlier. Internet breakout, every single site that you have redundant links. One of those links, we could have 3 links and 1 link is dedicated to internet and that's all it is, but the other 2 are going to be internet as well. They're going to be internet as well. They're just going to have an SD-WAN overlay and a backbone over here that we're going to traverse to get wherever we want to, as opposed to going over a clear internet. But you can still break out that internet for each site. So again, the sites don't have to come back, to return a web query, a Google search or something like that. And then virtual tunnels. You can continue to use your existing firewalls, right? So this can replace firewalls in a sense. I'll show you, not just SD-WAN, but the next step phase of it can replace your firewalls, or you can continue to use the firewall, especially if you just bought firewalls, you're under contract, you guys still got 2 years, 3, whatever it is. You don't have to rip and replace. Those are still good. You still use those. Some of the things you use for them today, that use it for today, you may not use it for tomorrow, right? But you still can keep your firewalls for, your traditional security prem type of stuff if you want to.
So now where's virus scanning in that picture? Because a lot of routers are appliances, like 40net. And if I have 40net running in my facility, how, if I'm
Why are you
replacing
jumping
this,
ahead?
if I'm replacing these routers, they were screening antivirus while it was going through the router. Does your product use that as well?
Why are you jumping ahead in my slides?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I'm joking. Yes, yeah, absolutely. All right, can we go to the next one?
Type of structure, resilient or robust against a DDoS type of attack.
You're still going to have, if you're publishing your IP and somebody's coming at it and banging away at it, yes, there's all kinds of services that get involved in the SASE side of it, right? So the SASE is Secure Access Service Edge, is what it stands, SASE. So that's where your firewall as a service lives. That's where your ZTNA, so no more VPN. VPN goes away. VPNs, yes, that's long gone. Raise your hand if you use VPN today. Every one of you is gonna raise your hand. Okay. You don't use VPN? You guys don't use VPN for anything to securely connect somewhere?
Well, you
probably do, right? What this is it gets replaced with a thing called ZTNA. Zero trust network access. I don't trust anybody. No way. You have to prove everything about yourself before I allow for you to have these very controlled access. So that's pretty much what happens. It is encrypted, right? But it's not a wrapped tunnel per se. It's not your traditional way. It's more of a, I don't want to say agentless. No, I'll think of the word. So this is what I was talking about earlier, traditional WAN. If you make a rule change today, you're gonna go push it to this router, to this router, this router, this router, and all of that, right? Every one of those are gonna have to be touched. I was responsible for 75,000 call center agents across the globe. That was my nightmare. That was my nightmare. That was when I lost my sleep. That was, all it takes is me to screw that one up. And Asia can no longer take phone calls. Well, there might be 30,000 people sitting there that can't take phone calls. That's a bad thing, right? So there was just we call it pucker factor 11, right? When it came to that, man, it was tough. This solved it. We abstract that process and we put it up in a common place, up in the cloud, right? We put it up in the cloud and we say, okay, cloud, can you see all of these connections? Yeah, I can see all those connections. I'm in one place and I'm gonna push based on policy, based on groups. However I group these different routers together, what type of, maybe it's based on internet carriers. Who's coming in, right? Is it a Lumen? Is it a
Comcast.
Zayo? That's Zayo. Yeah, I kept wanting to start with a Y, but it doesn't really care, but it sees them. It sees them, it sees the links, it knows what you're connected to, and it goes, okay, you want for these Lumen links across your entire network for Lumen links, you guys like to dial that up a little or dial it down a little, or make that one always primary or never primary, right? That's the kind of stuff that you can do. It sees that, and it can help you define some of those rules and policies that fit what your businesses are trying to do. So, okay.
All right, thank you. So this is a slide I added since you last presented with me, but basically there are three types of architecture. Bookended, which means site to site only, so you don't have that cloud component. And so that's more applicable for STLs to, what some of you do. And it's, it definitely is a better way to go than traditionally just using a failover feature on a traditional firewall. And then gateway is where you have that gateway in the cloud that the provider has set up in order to access additional services like cloud on-ramps and security services. And then middle mile, some of the SD-WAN providers, and this goes back to what you said before about the how do you get to the internet? So if you have Cato is one, for example, if you have a SD-WAN provider that has a middle mile backbone that they provide, via your internet connection, you get into Cato's network over here, let's say in California, and then via their private network within 10 milliseconds, you can get to New York and get to the other side of their private network to then get back out onto the internet. So it's a more it's a more effective and more secure way to traverse the internet. So, but that's something else that, there's a value add that some of the providers have.
That's the secure web. Yeah, that's the secure web gateway. So,
Yeah.
like LTE, any of the towers, point to point type of stuff that you can connect it in. So like you see, you got this other network that's over here. I have a lot of solar farms I work with. They have their own little network. This is what they'll do. And then they'll connect their LTE, their little private network, and they connect it into the secure web gateway of their greater business SD-WAN solution. So and then all your cloud and IaaS, so the AWS's, the Azure, GCP, all of those, but also lumping in here is MSPs. Right, so if you have a VMware environment and you are not looking to you don't want to refactor, meaning you don't want to change everything about it. You just want to pick that little virtual workload, put it over here, or a handful of them, put it over here. You can move them to an MSP they help you manage them, and they'll connect into your secure web gateway as well. So now you've got cloud services, your own data center, maybe another premise, an office building like this, and you can, and an old MPLS. All of them can be hubbed around that secure web gateway, and it's a beautiful thing. And then again, it lets you see, gives you intel and metrics that you probably don't get today just from the tools you're using, because the tool you're using is probably old, you know, and then it's an MPLS, and then but the SD-WAN tools, they have AI. They're looking, they're assuming, they're blending, they're doing trying to give you ideas of things you can do, knobs you can turn, you know, to make your environment just a little bit better. So it's pretty powerful stuff. So makes it the hybrid stuff makes it easy, and makes introducing something like the SD-WAN easier to absorb, because nothing is happening to your network. Even though you've got a new SD-WAN network sitting right next to it, nothing's happening to your existing one until you decide, hey, I trust the SD-WAN, I think we're good. Let's make them one network. And now you can bring them together. And now what you can do is slowly start knocking these guys off and putting them on this side, getting rid of your MPLS. Get rid of that expensive, old, archaic thing, man. Get rid of it, leverage internet links, leverage, you know, LTE, 4G, get rid of all of that stuff, and use the intelligence of the cloud and AI to help you with that packet steering, right? And that where to go with those packets. How do I get there? What's the best way? What's the optimal way for me to get there? Today, it's just going out the pipe in your network. You have no idea. You're not really controlling. You throw some QoS or something like that, but you have no logic really behind that. So lots of advantages with this secure web gateway.
Yeah,
Now you
But-
can trace packets, right? If I wanted to trace a path with the DOS command, I could do it.
Yes, with the DOS command,
Yeah, trace route.
sure, if you want to.
Well, yeah, I'm just
I
saying,
would
wanted-
look at the portal and it'll tell you everything. It'll tell you up to the second how, what the latency is at that.
And every hop in its path. so
Every hop in its path, because here's the thing, this is what I think maybe is the easiest way to understand. Okay, we got two clouds. This is your traditional, we'll call AWS, Azure. This is a bunch of data centers that are all interconnected, 400 gig, whatever it is. Here's your branch site sitting out here. You now have, we'll just say, what we'll call, these are kind of the same cloud. I should have drawn this kind of like this, sorry, AWS. Sure. Okay, all right, so forget about that. So that's kind of, this is the internet, but as part of the internet, there's all these data centers that are out there. They might be the same owner, they might not be the same owner, but every one of these data center has a low latency connection into the hyperscalers, because the hyperscalers also live in the same data centers. So we're gonna kind of squeezing everything down, you know what I mean? It's kind of, the world's getting smaller, not bigger. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're about to see a massive amount of data center companies buying other data center companies. AI is changing everything about it. But all of these data centers have customers in them. Those customers have access, they want to have access to AWS. Well, if this data center is not offering a fast, low latency access to AWS, who's going to go to that data center? Nobody, right? So what they did is all these data centers, they all have low latency on-ramps to the cloud. So it got really fast stuff. You've got your users out here. You've got, say, redundant links. You've got a little controller that's sitting out there. Could be virtual, could be physical. Doesn't really. Let's say you got another site that's over here as well. And it is also connected. And this is a controller, not the control, but just a device. This is, I should just put it media deep, but that's just a device that's virtual or physical, but that's just a little SD-WAN device that's sitting out there, and it is connected into, say, this data center, and this data center, maybe that data center, right? Because that's SD-WAN, it is branching out. So it's got these connections that are to these 4 data centers. Very low latency, I'll just say sub 5 millisecond for this piece. This right here, for you to get from, say, this data center over to this data center, which was the closest one to this one. To your, who was asking me, right? It's closest one to this one. That's the fastest way. Boom. It is not going to be fast if they break this leg off, try to go to, like the internet.
And trace
And try
route
to
that
come-
way.
Yeah, it should never go because you have too much latency, too much jitter, too much attenuation, too much garbage.
But I can trace route that way.
You can trace route all the way
It will
through
show
this.
you everyone it goes through.
Okay, it is not going to give you IPs of their private routed. Because that's what it is. This is a privately routed. So
You'll
they're
get
not.
stars, you'll just get the stars.
Stars, yeah, but you're gonna know you hit this hop, this hop, this hop, this is what the latency was, this is the speed, this is the throughput,
Okay.
you'll see that, but then it won't give you the IP.
IP, yeah, I've seen that
There's
before.
no,
When you get the private networks, yeah.
I wanna get hacked. But does that make sense a little bit? Site over here, abundantly connected into group of data centers, those same data centers are all connected to each other very, very fast. If I need to go from this data center to this data center to get to this site. It's a fact, it's picking the path of least resistance, the most efficient, fastest, lowest time.
Yeah, because sometimes, the cloud can be a term that's sort of intimidating, I mean, and really all it means is someone else's computer, right? So-
Yeah.
So, the cloud is just a bunch of data centers.
Exactly.
Now, is the ATM clouds pretty much all gone that the coal company used?
No, I have no idea.
No.
I've never got.
ATM cloud?
Yeah, we had ATM clouds for the
Yeah.
Delcies and all that, and
Yeah. No, I don't think,
Is that all gone?
I don't think it's out there anymore. There might be a few customers on it. ATM was sort of, the progression out of frame relay, which was supplanted by
phone company loved it.
MPLS like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
so. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I'll bet you AT&T is probably still billing people for ATM for thousands of dollars. Yeah,
Just hoping that guy doesn't find that on his bill.
yeah, that's that. Going back to what you were saying about how this is really kind of a no-brainer to go this route. It is, I mean, SD-WAN, everybody is gonna go SD-WAN and many broadcasting station groups already have gone down that path, and the ones that haven't will do it. But it is not only do salespeople not want to sell it, but customers are reluctant to go through a technology change, a forklift, rip and replace. Even though it's easier than those types of technology changes have been in the past, from an implementation perspective, in terms of making it seamless, it still is a big obligation on the IT staff to go through that. And so that's why people are reluctant to do it. But if it saves a massive amount of money, if it increases the scalability and the reliability and the security and the performance, I mean, it's no reason not to.
Yeah, and if you're not sure, we're happy to get on a call with guys and just have a one-on-one and tell us what you have today. Tell us what challenges, you're having, what you like, what you don't like, the kind of thing. And, we're happy to at least help provide a little bit of guidance, things that you should be looking at, considering, there are SD-WAN isn't for everyone. If there isn't a reason for that link to be up and that link to be down for days.
Yeah, well,
You're not really a good candidate. But if, Margaret, the admin, or I don't know, Margaret, right? But Margaret, the admin, she needs access to something for the president of your company and she can't get to it. Is that important? That might be a lot more, that might be the most important thing in your entire day, that's it, right? You never know, but happy to kind of help you guys figure out, right? Like if it's something that makes sense for you, or maybe, maybe even some of the solutions are just a simple, if you're in a remote location, maybe it's a Starlink. Maybe it's just a Starlink. Starlink has a bunch of upstream, they have a bunch of redundant stuff within their network as well, right? Maybe it's something like that. Who knows, but I'm happy to at least help you guys, uncover where you're at and where you'd like to be. And at least nothing else, provide some options, you know, as to, hey, these guys might be good. I'm not a pushy dude. You'll never have me push them, but yeah, I'd recommend this supplier or that supplier because I've had great experience with them. I have won, you know, opportunities, closed opportunities with them. We've done all of that. So they've been, customers are happy with them, that kind of thing, you know, happy to, you know, call it, yes, you know, recommend.
Well, you know, so these people are all content providers essentially. So for any content provider,
It's important.
it's important. It can't be done.
Yep.
It can't be
Yeah.
done.
I wasn't sure what
So-
all of you
Yeah,
did, but
yeah.
you got a lot of people.
Right. But, yeah, the thing is that, I forgot the point I was gonna make. So while I'm thinking of that, are there any of these features that are listed on here? Anything you want to talk about? If not, we can just move on because a lot of it is duplication, but. DDoS mitigation is important. Distributed denial of service is a add-on feature. And all of these are, depending on the provider and the product that they sell, all of these are their options.
Do you utilize port pooling to get speed on your network?
Port pooling?
Yeah, where you send the packet one down one port, packet two down another port, the same IP address. You use multiple ports on the same IP address to get your data from point A to point B.
Yeah, I personally don't have a network. I'm the middleman. So all of these technologies that we're talking about are all technologies of those 300 suppliers I have contracts with. That's what they do. I just don't let you guys or let them talk to you, right, until I find out what you really need so that I'm not bringing in anyone that is inappropriate for the discussion. So, you know.
Yeah, TVU, a lot of all the live packs that television uses for live, that's what they utilize.
Okay.
They will send the packets over a group of ports and just scan it like this, sending them out. And they found that they could get faster speed by doing that versus trying to cram them all down the same port.
Well, and so that's one, I think what you're referring to is the packet, either packet replication.
Well, the packet, it can go down one of 64,000 ports, like port 80
Is it
the
good?
other is web. Right,
Oh, okay.
port 80 is used for the web, port 110 is used for email. You have different ports that are assigned under that IP address. There's a huge block of them that are not defined that you can utilize.
Yeah.
So a lot of these vendors like TVU, DeGero, they will take an IP address, they really go nuts. They port scan and they cellular bond, where they take multiple cellular modems and they bond them together and then they slam the ports. AdTech uses port for their encoders over the internet.
Is this for upload speed?
For
or is
video,
this
for sending video.
Streaming video,
Yep,
uploading video?
Yep.
Okay, so are you guys uploading this to a CDN?
It's your camera, SDI video goes into a box, it converts it to IP and then sends it over the cellular network back to a server, a PC at the station. And they convert it back to video at that point. And you have a live shot essentially with this backpack that runs the data, your video streaming through the cellular network.
I
Okay.
could not tell you if
And-
an SD-WAN provider would do that.
Yeah, it would be interesting, because a lot of these other stations are gonna need to be able to, you to provide that service for them to do that, or it's not gonna work.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
Port
but
that you have available, be it port 443, 80, 81, 88, it doesn't matter. It isn't, yeah, you're still going to have the same control over that port for that IP that you.
For that packet, because the packet is specific.
Absolutely, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's deep inspection. All of these
Mhm.
will do a deep inspection. They can see down into, unless it's encrypted, right? Unless it has been encrypted prior to it traversing the tunnel. If so, there's a encrypted file, if you send it over, SD-WAN isn't going to be able to see anything. There's nothing that's going to be able to inspect that without a key management store and the right key and the right cert and so.
See, because in the LTE network side of your drawing, you're gonna be seeing, say I have one video stream. and I'm sending it back. Some of it's gonna be coming in from Sprint, some of it's gonna be coming in from AT&T, some of it's gonna be coming in from T-Mobile.
Right.
It's not even gonna be, that stream is gonna be coming across multiple vendor platforms before the packets arrive at the station. So if you run it through something like that, would it handle that?
I'm sure it does, and that's, I haven't done much with TV, so I don't have a lot of experience in that area, but, yeah,
Especially streaming from the
But-
field, because TVU, everyone does it.
Yeah.
DeGero, they're all.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I think of streaming any kind of media. I'm thinking about a CDN.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what
why I'm bringing this up,
you need to
because I don't know.
you need to get to like an Akamai or something like that, where you can put it out there and then it replicates, gets regionally near where the people are actually going to watch it. And you bring it to them as opposed to them trying to come in and
Right.
stream, right? They're going to somewhere where the stream is 10 seconds, 30 seconds delayed, right?
Right.
But it's streaming it, it's compressing it, and boom, but it takes that stream and you stream it out to the CDNs. And then from the CDNs, that's where all your users are streaming, that's where they're all looking, they just don't know. They don't realize that's where they're watching it from, but they're watching it from a different data center somewhere. It's just one that's close to
Yeah,
the closest to them.
It's just when I was watching how this is laid out, and I'm thinking how they bring that back, I'm like, well, that's gonna be a little tricky.
Yeah, and then again, this is all IP based, highly redundant, low latency, 400 gig, this is all IP based. So anything that goes over IP today will 100% work better over this right here, right? When you talk about industry specific, how to tweak a knob, turn a screw, port pooling, things like that. I can't necessarily answer that, but I will tell you, I've never heard anybody say your SD-WAN can't do what my old Cat OS
No.
switch.
Never heard it as a problem.
Yeah.
I'm sure it can, but I'd love to continue that discussion if you'd like to.
Sorry.
Okay, so we can go on for a few more hours if you want. But it is 12:32 now. Give me a hard stop. Do you want us to stop now, or can we go on for a little bit, or? what do you think? 12:45 sounds good, okay. And so just something that, what I had forgotten before was, just another sort of barrier to moving to SD-WAN, but ultimately a big advantage of SD-WAN is contracts. So customer that I'm working with, a broadcaster radio station group that I'm working with, I'm proposing SD-WAN to them, but they have Ethernet private lines and they have dedicated internet access. And so some of their contracts, the contracts are not concurrent. You know, some customers are lucky or they're been very diligent about having concurrent terms on their contracts, which is very difficult to do, especially if you have multiple providers. But this customer has some of their Ethernet private lines that he's paying a lot of money for as STLs. Some expire in February next year, one in August, one in 2027. So difficult to manage. So my advice to him is ultimately going to be probably, let's wait until February until at least those two EPL contracts expire. And then you won't have to pay any termination liability to move to this and replace those expensive circuits with Comcast cable, with Starlink, with 5G, with whatever's available there. And so once you are an SD-WAN and using those broadband circuits that either have no contracts or have very, very limited termination liability, it makes network administrators, it makes IT directors' life so much easier, not having to worry about these long-term contracts that you get hit with 75% or 100% of the remaining monthly charges for termination. So.
But I could get rid of a lot of people in the IT department.
So tell me about your goals.
Let's see if there's anything we want to cover here. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is the decentral. So here you've got the decentralized for management, right? Every one of those devices needs to be managed. That's the old way. But this way you've got the orchestration and the cloud management. It's one place, one portal, and in that portal sees every one of your devices.
So how do we change management
So
We
it-
always did a bunch of paper and a spreadsheet and.
Oh, so it's actually pretty simple. You have options. If you want one of our suppliers to manage the entire network and you never hear another dang word about it, no problem. Absolutely. That's what they do every day, all day long. They can absolutely take over the entire network. They can do your circuits. They can bring this SD-WAN, they can bring the security features we haven't actually gotten to unfortunately yet. They can bring all of that. So there's lots of options for you, reallocate those maybe resources, right?
That was a perfect segue into my next slide, Fred. And I have 5 slides on this and I don't.
Yes, you are.
And I don't think we have time to get into all this, but I have 5 slides on it. So for example, Jacob Till in Indiana that I talked about before, he did it all himself. He deployed these managing all himself, which you can do. But there are drawbacks to that. And I have another slide that shows that, but basically, if you have a managed service provider or telco, do it all, then you get the 24/7 support, you get hands-off management, security's integrated, single vendor accountability, one throat to choke, but you lose a little bit of control, right? And you pay more, so limited flexibility, and could be locked into a vendor when you don't want to be. Self-managed SD-WAN, full control, customization, cheaper, but you're responsible if something breaks, right? And then co-managed SD-WAN is really the direction that most people or most providers are going, where it's a team effort. So you have control over what you want control over, and only what you feel your IT staff can handle, and then you let the provider do the rest, right?
So if you needed to enable, additional routes, you needed to do that kind of stuff, no problem. You can do that yourself, or you can have them do it. Just open a ticket. Here's a portal. They'll have it done in 24 or 48 hours, whatever it is. Or you guys can do it yourself. So yeah, they're not looking to take away control. They're looking to just give you a much better experience. And hey, we're here if you need us. But the one thing you won't manage the devices. Like you would not manage, you're not going to update a BIOS on an SD-WAN appliance. You're not going to update firmware. They own all of that. They own all of that. And depending on which SD-WAN provider you bring or we engage with, right? So we've got some aggregators that are huge SD-WAN providers. They also provide all the circuits. So you can start to get to that point where you get that single bill for all your network, everything. They can provide everything for it. So it's pretty slick. It really simplifies.
Do you have uptime numbers?
I'm sorry?
Do you have uptime numbers? Are you like 99.9999?
I'm not anything. My suppliers,
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're posting their stuff all over the place. So if you look at Comcast, you look at Verizon, you look at T-Mobile, you look at AT&T, you look at it, that's the uptime, right? From a circuit perspective. And then the SD-WAN providers, they have it splashed all over their front pages. So if you look at someone like Cato is very unique. And I'll tell you, you guys will really like them because they will start with one site. They are Gartner Magic Quadrant leader. They're the leader. They're the farthest up in the front. Everybody's chasing Cato. Cato will start with one site. They'll implement a proof of concept SD-WAN solution using your circuits that you're already in place and let you test. All right. And then that's just the SD-WAN piece. If you say, hey, I would like to maybe talk to you guys about getting rid of my firewalls. They got firewalls of service, they got the secure web gateway, they and just turn on whatever you guys need, right? But they will start very, very small, very small. They're one of the few that will actually do a single site. Most of them want like 5, but yeah, a single site, Cato is great for
What
that.
do you use for your virus scanning?
Virus scanning, it really doesn't exist anymore. What we use is, it's called EDR, which is enterprise, God, I knew you.
There we go.
Yes,
Edge device,
no, not, it's disaster response, or,
Emergency.
not disaster response, something in response.
yeah.
Damn, I'm losing my mind.
Detection.
Anyway, eCentire, Sentinel-1, Rapid7, there's a bunch of those EDR companies. Antivirus is an endpoint protection product that needs to go out, that needs to download those 0-day, well, doesn't get a 0-day, oh, you're infected. Done, right? They say no more of that. We don't have any intelligence, there's no signatures, we're not downloading a file anymore and hope we gotta download it fast enough. Everything happens out here. So you've got a cloud portal that you log into and you see every one of your devices that all have the little agent installed on them, right? And that agent is getting updates from the cloud constantly. Real time, always looking, and if the cloud says, hey, we've got a 0-day release, every single endpoint that is on that network in the world is alerted and patched, right? So that's pretty quick, it's fast, man, you know, so it just makes it a lot more efficient of keeping yourself secure than a traditional antivirus where there's a signature file that you. When was the signature file created? Well, the last one was a week ago. Well, there's a virus released today, so I gotta go download this. Now I gotta, are they gonna release a 0? I'm infected. Damn.
Yes,
You know, and so that's where the cloud-based endpoint protection comes in.
right, so that goes back to your question about does the virus scanning add latency? And no, the virus scanning doesn't add latency. Okay, so SD-WAN versus SASE Secure Access Service Edge, which is basically SD-WAN with zero trust network access, with a secure web gateway, firewall as a service, data loss prevention, all the security features.
If you want SD-WAN, you have to have that. Right? If you have SD-WAN already, you only really need to look at this. Right? Because this can be either bolt-on or it can be part of the SD-WAN original package. So really SD-WAN and then SD-WAN with SASE is really what it is. SASE is all of the security pieces.
And the new buzzword is single vendor SASE, because as technology has developed over the years, most organizations added various different types of security solutions from different vendors, right? Bolting it on. And that causes a lot of complexity. So having a single vendor that has that all integrated is a big advantage.
That's Cato, who I was just referring to. Native, built from the ground up, nothing built through mergers and acquisition. They didn't buy a software company and say, oh, you got a cool feature, I'm gonna bolt it in. No, everything with Cato was built from the ground up. So it is cloud native, it is purpose-built SD-WAN and SASE. So it's one of the few, one of the few.
Okay, well, I think we can move on from that.
Cato was
CATO. Yeah, yeah.
like the institute.
Yeah.
So
Exactly, exactly. I don't think there's any relation between the two.
I was gonna say, the Cato Institute's a think tank, isn't it?
So one of the things that makes the procurement of SD-WAN kind of complicated is you have hundreds of choices, because every ISP does SD-WAN. They resell someone's platform. Or even, Peplink has their own SD-WAN type product. Comrex, it's called Crosslock, I think. Does anyone have experience with Crosslock? That's an SD-WAN product. So who do you go through, So this is not a list of all the different platforms, but Cisco in 2012 acquired Meraki, started doing SD-WAN with them. 2017, they acquired Vitello, and that's their upgraded SD-WAN solution. So you can go to an MSP that resells Cisco services. Basically any telecom provider does either one or both pretty much. And then there's also VeloCloud is a very popular one. Versa, all traditional firewall providers, Juniper, Fortinet, have SD, it's all SD-WAN now integrated into their products. Cato is one of those that we were talking about, has a value adds like the middle mile network. So that's one of the companies that purpose-built SD-WAN company. So you've got these different platforms And then you've got all the resellers. So who do you go through? You know, do you go through AT&T? Do you want to trust your network to AT&T? Well, maybe you want one throat to choke, but maybe you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So, anything that you want to say on the providers?
No, I mean, it's, I would say if you've got any questions about connectivity, if you've got anything, you've got remote sites, you've got a news site, whatever it is, just reach out to Dan. This guy's got access to tools. I mean, they'll tell you exactly what's sitting at the front door of that building. What options do you have? Because you may not know that, you may think, okay, we're a Comcast company, or this is a Comcast building, and yeah, back in the day, 15 years ago, we brought Comcast in, blah, blah, blah. What you can realize is your neighbor, they trenched too. They brought lumen. Well, man, if I could just tap into that lumen, I mean, that better, or that might be a second link, or whatever, but you have no idea. You have no idea that your neighbor enabled lumen. You know, so our tools allow for that kind of stuff to be seen, right? So we can tell you what carriers are available in each of those locations. And then maybe provide a little bit of guidance around, you know, if you are thinking about SB1, what are some of the gotchas? What are some of the things that you should be concerned with? Or how would I prioritize these links? That's where I can absolutely help you best.
And that applies to any telecom product or any IT product that we sell, all right? So, but anyway, we're done because it's 12:46.
Yeah, I know, I feel bad.
No problem. It's so glad to have you here. But anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea on cost. It's not, you know, you can get in, the entry point is about $75 a month, so it's not expensive, but and then just one final thing, you asking about the SLAs. You know, you can have high availability at any of the sites, so if you have for, you know, not a lot of money, you know, you can get a carrier, you can run on your own computer, you can use the carrier provided hardware either as a one-time charge or a monthly charge. And if you want HA at any of your sites, you can have that easily. So anyway, that is it. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.